guys, we are here with Spot. Spot is one of our foster dogs right now. He is currently looking for his forever home. So if anybody is interested, or if you could share this video so that we could help try and find this sweet little dude a home. He is an awesome little man. He is very friendly with the other dogs. He loves to play. He's very social. He's good with the kids. He's good with the cats. He is just a happy little dude. He is just he loves, you can see, he loves a good scratching on his head. He just if your leg is here, he'll just nuzzle into you. He's just the sweetest. We love him. So Spot and I are out working on his loose leash healing right now. He has really slippery skin, and that happens a lot with pitties. Whereas just doing just the slip lead and pressure and release, it slides down so quick up here that I was adjusting on literally every stop. So it was beginning to be a little much. So I decided, for a couple reasons, we decided to do transitional with him. One, because it's going to help it stay on his head a little bit easier. And two, because he is a young pitty and he does get distracted by things very easily. Even when we're outside just taking a walk for potty walks, he'll kind of knock into me, and he doesn't respond very much to kneeing him, you can see. Yes, I know, the sweetest. So we are working on transitional. He is doing very well. We just started this. This is his first lesson, so I thought it would be a good time to show you how to do conditioning with this. We have done maybe 15-20 minutes of conditioning with him. So you want to loosen that. Good boy. And really the key with this is really having loose leash. So you have to be able to communicate with your dog as if it's, you're going to kind of think of it like it's reins with a horse, right? So every time it's always just going to be loose. So you can see he doesn't respond well to just popping you with your knee. He's like, whatever. So teaching him pressure and release is going to be important, because it's going to give you a way to communicate with him with the leash. It's not just going to be taking him for a walk. It's going to be healing with him, which is doing a lot for your dog. You're working his brain, not just his body. So if you're relying on taking him for long walks where it's mindless exercise and he gets to just kind of do whatever he wants, he's pulling ahead of you, he's in control of the walk, how fast we're going, where we're stopping, what we're sniffing. If he's doing all of that, then he's in control of the walk, and it's mindless exercise. And what you're going to do is you're going to build an athlete by just relying on playing fetch and frisbee and, exercising him to wear him out. What's going to happen is you're going to, like I said, you're going to build an athlete. And eventually he's going to need to go longer and further and play more in order for you to get to that point of tiredness, because he's going to build up to that. He's going to build stamina and strength and muscle. So if you work his brain, you're doing a lot more for him. Not only are we getting physical exercise right now, but I'm making him think through everything. So if I'm in control, I'm teaching him that when I use slight pressure, and I'm talking 2 fingers worth of pressure, this is all we need. It's not much. So I'm going to stop moving and we're going to do a traffic light, okay? So this is our red light. Red light is when we're going to stand, we're going to stop where we are, and we're going to hold this just 2 fingers worth of pressure. It's light pressure. Less is more with this. If you teach him this little force of pressure, means we're going to stop walking, and I'm going to hold that force until he goes into a calmer state of mind. Now, we don't know that's happened as humans until we see a physical change in the dog, which means a more submissive pose or a sit, right? So I just added a second force of pressure there. So what we're doing is we're teaching him, we're not necessarily doing a sit right now, and that's why you can see I don't say the word sit to him. I do a little bit in the beginning when I'm conditioning so that he gets the idea, because he is very good with sit. So if I'm conditioning him to understand that the idea of pressure means put your butt on the ground or go into a calmer state, then the pressure immediately releases as soon as you calm down. Okay. We're not going to start moving again until I say okay. Now, if you hold your leash correctly, right, you can see as soon as he stopped paying attention to me and this went straight, it's no longer like this where it has that U shape and it's a loose leash. You just want this resting on your fingertips at all times. You never want to wrap it around your fingers. You never want to close your fist on it. You never want to see white knuckles. You always just want it kind of resting on the tips of your feet so you can see how much it slides on him. You just want it resting here so that you have a way to communicate with him when you need to. So you're going to have your red light, which means go into a calmer state of mind. Okay, so I'm adding a second force. Good. And the pressure releases. Right? So pressure goes away. That's our red light. When I say, okay, or heel, that means we start moving again. Your yellow light is going to be, hey, pay attention. So it's going to be a quick pop of the leash to say you're not paying attention. You want to imagine you have this invisible box right here. So you can see right now he's outside of my box, right? So he's in control of the walk right now. If I change my direction, now he's behind me and I'm now in control of the walk. And I can use these yellow lights to say, hey, look, pay attention to me, I'm over here, without needing to use verbal commands. So dogs don't speak English. We don't speak bark. So that's why it's so important to understand the concept of pressure and release to communicate with your animal. Again, like horses, you use a lot of clicks and using your reins to communicate with an animal, right? Dogs are the same way. Yes, you can pair a word to an action and they start to communicate and understand tones with an action, but you could make the concept of putting butt on the ground to mean banana, and you could teach him banana means sit instead of the word sit. You can do whatever you want. It's really more about repetition of a word paired with the action. So if you teach your dog body language and pressure and release, you're going to have a much better communication system with your dog. And if you have a good working relationship with them, you're going to have a great little lovey-dovey relationship, because who doesn't love a dog that listens to them and understands what you're asking of them? You have to understand that dogs are dogs. They're going to do whatever feels natural to them, and that's okay because nobody's told them any different. So it's up to you to teach him what skills and what behaviors are appropriate for you in your life. Having repetition and consistency is key to having an obedient dog. If you aren't consistent with following through with every command, so let's say I apply pressure right now and I didn't make him SIT. I'm not going to say the word because, good boy, I'm not teaching him again to do a sit. I'm teaching him calm down, right? And I just don't know that's happened until he SITs. So if I were to not follow through with that pressure and I was just like, whatever, he's calm enough, and I kept going, I've just taught him that sometimes you have to sit, sometimes you don't. And that's going to become really confusing for him because he's not going to know when is that time that it's okay to get away with it. And you're going to make your job harder by doing that, because then you're going to be annoyed that he doesn't sit every time, but you didn't follow through with making him sit every time. So sometimes in the beginning, it takes a little bit of patience and, follow through to do that. But if you do that, you're going to see way bigger changes in your dog as far as what what people look for in obedient dogs. Okay. So when I start moving, I always give him the cue of now we start moving. I put pressure, red light, release. Now you can add a second force of pressure. I always tell people, good job, Woody. I always tell people that it's not the amount of force, it's about getting him to pay attention, right? So it's not the amount of tension, get him to pay attention. So adding more tension to this isn't going to get him to focus more. This is like talking to him and this is like yelling at him, right? So there's a difference between talking and yelling. We just want to communicate, hey, calm down, right? And that's why I always say less is more, because if we teach him just one finger's worth of pressure is all I need. Now I just added a second force of pressure, which is called spatial pressure. Spatial pressure is using the front of your body to turn into the dog and pressure on and pressure off. Pressure on, pressure off. Okay. Now I can get him to SIT with just spatial pressure by pressure on. So I'm going to get him to pay attention again. So, and off. Okay. Okay, Good boy. Good job, Spot. Right? So you can add that second force of pressure if he's not paying attention. Let's say we stop and there's like another dog and he's just like not paying attention to these 1 or 2 fingers worth of pressure. Then you're going to stand in front of him and you're going to basically block him like you're playing basketball, so that you're saying, no, good boy. It's me and you right now. It's not about the distraction. You have to pay attention to me. So you're helping him by working through the situation with him and showing him, regardless of what's going on around you, you need to pay attention to me, right? So when we stay here, again, he's not supposed to move until I give him a cue. So as a trainer, I'm going to practice doing slight movements. Now I'm waiting for him to mess up right now. When he pays attention to me and sees me moving, he's going to want to jump up because he's going to think, oh, we're moving right now, right? Right? So there it is. So as soon as his butt lifted off the ground, I reapplied my pressure. Good. Because now I'm teaching him, no, you don't get to move just because I'm moving. You have to wait until I give you that cue. Okay. Good boy. Okay is a complete release. It means you're free to do whatever you want. We are in the conditioning stages, so I'm not doing a perfect heel with him right now. I'm teaching him pressure on and pressure off only. This will coincide with healing because you can already see he's in a heel, and I can use this pressure to keep him in this heel, which means we don't want him passing my knee, and he should be paying attention. Like if I turn, he didn't pay attention. He didn't see how I turned. So that means he's not focusing on me. So doing a lot of turns is more important. Pace changes and direction changes are key to healing, because if you're just going in a straight line, that's like playing a game of follow the leader with a kid, and you're the leader and all you're doing is just walking in a straight line. It's the most boring game of follow the leader ever, and they're going to stop paying attention to you pretty quick, and they're going to start looking at everything else. But if I'm doing these zigzaggy patterns where now I'm making a figure 8, right? It's forcing him to pay attention to other things, which is me and the pace that I'm going and following my lead. Now you're basically going to play a game of follow the leader, because every time I turn, if he's not watching, he's going to get a yellow light. Yellow light. But it's a quick on and off. It's not a pull. You don't want to yank him towards you. It's a quick snap of the leash to say, pay attention, right? I didn't actually pop him, right? Turn, pop. We needed 2 pops there. But you have to keep moving too. A lot of times what I notice is people will stop and be like, right? You have to be the one that's in the lead. You have to be controlling the walk. Now, if you stop and you wait for him to start moving and you're like, I'll move when you move, you just told him you're in control of the walk and I'll move when you move. You want him to move when you tell him to move, and you want him to follow you no matter what your pace or your direction is. So if we do these, again, these turns, and these are really good for him because, like I said, he's not super responsive to when I do turns and I give him like a bump. He's just kind of like, doo-doo-doo. It doesn't really matter to him. So, but you can see how well the transition works. Like there was just a leaf there and I was able to just use a yellow light to say, no, pay attention to me. We're not stopping to smell a leaf right now. And if you allow him to stop and sniff everything, then that's what you're telling him is okay with you, and you can't be upset when he does that every time. If you want him to just keep moving with you at your pace and focus with you, this is what you have to do. You have to get him to watch you. And you have to do that by changing your directions and changing your paces. So we could start jogging, or we can go really slow. Now, going really slow is actually harder for a dog than going at a fast pace. Now, if he's a little bit ahead of you and you keep trying to walk faster to get ahead of him, what you're doing is you're just racing each other, and he's going to think it's a game. So in that sense, what you want to do is you actually want to slow down. You don't want to speed up to get in front of him. You want to slow down and get him to slow down with you. So even right now, like, slow down. See, he's trying to get to the grass, and I'm just using my leash to communicate with him. No, we're not doing that. We're doing this. We're going to turn. Right, but all with no pressure on this leash. So you have your green light, your yellow light, and your red light. Good boy. Good boy, Spot. He's just the sweetest boy. Oh, no. So, yeah, those are the key things that you want to remember. You have stop, pop, change directions. Those are the things that you really want to focus on. A loose leash. You never want to hold a lot of tension. If your leash isn't making a U or a smile, if it's frowning or it's sad like this and it's pressure, you're applying pressure and you don't even realize it, right? As soon as this is straight, you're applying pressure no matter how much force there is on your fingers, right? So you want to always remember you want this U shape. He's in front of me right now, so I can either pop, stop, or change directions. I like changing directions first to try and get him to slow down and refocus on me, right? But if he's just a little bit ahead, I can give him that yellow light, that pop, like, no, don't break the box, you know, and he's a little ahead again. So right there, he didn't pay attention. So I turned and it is immediate yellow light if he didn't look. That time he paid attention when I turned. This time, not so much. So you get a little pop there. But especially with the transitional, if he tries to paw at it, which was perfect timing, you did that. You always want to remember to just follow through. If you're applying more tension, that's what's going to happen. He's going to paw at it. If you want to remember, this is loose. So, like, I can fit all my fingers underneath there. Same with this. This is, like, I can fit my whole hand underneath there. This is loose. It's just enough that when I need to communicate with him, I can. So this should always be loosey-goosey, as loose as you can do this. Okay. It's more about him to focus on you rather than, the tool. So right there, I'm not going to pull him around this turn. If I do that, I'm teaching him pressure means stop and pressure means go. So I'm teaching him to run a red light if you do that. And that's not fair. So you have to learn as a handler to use your pops and release, right? Pressure on, pressure off. So it's a quick pressure on, pressure off. Pressure on, pressure off. Right? Just pay attention. Quick. If you do these big pulls, solid pressure is red light, and that means stop. So that's on you. If you're teaching him to run a red light, you already know that's not correct. So see how our leash is smiling? He's just slightly behind me. He keeps checking in with me. He's power yawning, which means he's using his brain so much that he's getting tired. Let's see, this video is just shy of 20 minutes right now, and I think we were working for about 15, so we're at just over half an hour of walking. But we haven't even left my street. We've just been going up and down my street, and I live on a cul-de-sac down at the end, so I can use my circle to do a lot of movements in the beginning to get him to focus on me and practice pressure and release. If you can't do it in your driveway or in your neighborhood, don't expect to be able to do it at a park or a store yet. You have to build up to your handling skills and what you're ready to do. So I could take Spot to Disney World right now, but it's more about because I know I could handle him. He probably isn't quite ready for that yet, but it's just an analogy, really. It's more about what you're ready to do as a handler. I always say, if you're going to any situation saying, I wonder how this is going to go, it's probably not going to go good because you don't feel confident in yourself that you know whatever happens, you know how to handle it and work through it with him and keep him calm is really the key to it. Calm is key. So just build up your confidence level as a handler. That's what's really important in all of this. So, but yeah, we have Spot for a few more weeks until he goes to his foster up in Buffalo, New York. So, like I said, if you could share this video, doesn't really matter anywhere up the East Coast, really. He'll be making that ride in late August anyway, so if anybody is interested in Spot here, you can see he's a great boy. He's going to be with me for a few more weeks, so we're going to continue to keep working on his training as well. But yeah, so if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Future owners, future fosters, please let me know if you have if you need any information on how to do this. I also have several videos on how to put the transitional on properly, but just as a little key so that you know, you want to make sure that the silver loop stays centered with his little stripe. So you want it centered in the middle of his head. His safety is going to go, so the looser the safety is, the quicker it's going to fall. But you also don't want it so tight that it's, hard to just get 3 fingers under there. We want it just enough that it's nice and loose, but it's not going to slide so much. If it does start sliding and it looks like this, and it's like over under like here and it's not centered, when we do pressure, it's going to be off balance, so it's not going to work right, because this works with pressure points. So they have pressure points in their muzzle and pressure points in their skull. So having it up high is important. This is his trachea down here. So if you're putting pressure on his trachea, that's just going to make him cough. If it's properly aligned, where it's underneath his chin and it's centered on his skull, you're applying it to the pressure points, and that's what you really want to see. So what you want to do, if you see it start, like I said, if you see it sliding like that, you want to rotate this and this at the same direction at the same time. So it's hard to do it with one hand. I use both hands, and I would grab this one with one, and then I would just move them at the same time. That's the best way to do it, right? So keep that centered. As far as putting it on goes, you want to remember 2 things. When you're just using just a slip lead, you always want to make sure he's going to walk on your left hand side. Now that's a proper heel. So you want to make sure that the slip lead is sliding towards your body and not sliding away from your body. So if it's on backwards, this is what it's going to do. It's going to kind of loop over, and when we apply pressure and release, it doesn't release because it just holds on to itself. Now if it's on properly, right, so now he's on my left side and it's on properly, it's going to pressure and release, right? It slides. That's the point of a slip lead. So make sure that it's sliding towards you. That's the first thing. I make a nice big loop, right? Don't worry about making a small loop. Nice big loop. And then you're going to take this and you're just going to figure 8 it. And it's just going to go up over his muzzle. Right? And then grab this and just let that. Right? And then you'll use your safety again. Slide down to about a 1/2 inch or so off of the ring. Okay. And then when you start moving, pat your legs, say okay, say his name, anything you can to start moving without using force to get him to move. Remember, force means stop, pop means pay, force means stop, pop means pay attention, and loose leash is a green light. That means we move forward. All right, so right there, we'll pop, release. So there you have it, guys. I hope that helps. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. So have a good one, and let's share this and get Spot a home. Have a good one, guys.